For 7 seasons, the Golden Girls brought laughter, love, and unforgettable moments to television screens. The iconic sitcom remains a fan favorite, celebrated for its sharp humor and the incredible chemistry between its leading ladies. But while the show's legacy endures, many of the talented actors who made it special have sadly passed away. From the beloved main cast to unforgettable guest stars, their performances left a lasting impact on audiences worldwide. In this list, we honor 39 actors from the Golden Girls who are no longer with us, remembering their incredible careers and the joy they brought to millions. Bea Arthur portrayed Dorothy Zbornak in the Golden Girls beginning in 1985 at the age of 63, embodying a tough, sarcastic woman whose wit concealed years of personal disappointment. Dorothy's resilience and intelligence resonated deeply, yet Arthur's own life mirrored the loneliness her character often expressed. Rising to fame with Maude, she became a television trailblazer, but her blunt nature and uncompromising standards alienated many in Hollywood, leaving her professionally respected but personally isolated. She married twice, both unions ending in divorce, and adopted 2 sons, though her demanding career often strained her relationships with them. Despite her success, she struggled with deep insecurities and an increasing sense of detachment as she aged, withdrawing from the spotlight. In her final years, she battled lung cancer in silence, rarely seen in public. On April 25, 2009, at 86, she passed away in her Los Angeles home.
To be 40 again. I had the shock of my life today. I was in the teacher's lounge talking to a group of girls in their 20s.
Rue McClanahan became Blanche Devereaux in 1985 at 51, playing a vivacious, flirtatious Southern belle who embraced life's pleasures. Off-screen, however, McClanahan's love life was far more turbulent. She married 6 times, searching for the lasting love Blanche so easily found, yet each relationship ended in heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment. Her career was filled with highs and lows. Though the Golden Girls brought her immense fame, she never found another role as iconic, and her later years were marked by professional frustration. Health struggles haunted her. She survived breast cancer but later suffered a heart attack that weakened her. In 2010, she endured a massive stroke that left her unable to communicate, trapped in a failing body. On June 3, 2010, at 76, she passed away, her once glamorous presence fading into a tragic, silent end, far from the vibrant persona she had spent her life creating.
Dorothy, would you please open this jar of macadamia nuts for me?
You can't get it open?
Oh, I didn't try. I don't want to risk cracking a nail.
What are these, claws?
Betty White played Rose Nyland from 1985 at the age of 63, embodying a kind-hearted and naive woman whose endless street Olaf stories masked a complex past. White was adored for her humor and warmth, but behind her sunny demeanor lay personal heartache. After 2 brief and unhappy marriages, she found true love with Alan Ludden, only for him to be taken by stomach cancer in 1981. Devastated, she never remarried, spending the next 40 years cherishing his memory while focusing on her work. Though she became a beloved pop culture icon in her later years, she outlived nearly all of her friends and co-stars, facing the pain of watching those closest to her pass away. In her final days, she suffered a debilitating stroke that left her frail and weak. On December 31, 2021, just weeks before her 100th birthday, she died at 99, alone in her home, leaving behind a world that adored her but never fully understood the loneliness that lingered behind her bright smile.
I have some very distressing news. Sophia's been pilfering cheese balls.
Estelle Getty brought Sophia Petrillo to life in 1985 at the age of 62, portraying the fiery, sharp-witted Sicilian matriarch who became one of the show's most beloved characters. But behind Sophia's humor, Getty struggled immensely. She spent years in near-total obscurity, only finding fame later in life, though success brought her little happiness. Paralyzed by stage fright, she battled crippling anxiety that made filming difficult. Even worse, she began suffering from memory loss in the late 1990s, a cruel prelude to Lewy body dementia, which slowly robbed her of her identity. In her final years, she no longer recognized friends, family, or even her own reflection. Isolated and helpless, she spent her last days in a private nursing home, a far cry from the sharp-tongued woman she had once been. On July 22, 2008, at 84, she passed away, her brilliance erased by a disease that took her long before death did.
In their tiny bundles.
Wedding elves.
It's that cheap hair dye she uses. It finally ate through.
Harold Gould played Miles Weber in 1985 at the age of 62, portraying Rose's intelligent and loving boyfriend, a rare stabilizing force in her life. Unlike his character's warm and steady presence, Gould's own life carried many hidden struggles. Though he built a respected career with countless film and television roles, he was often cast in forgettable supporting parts, leaving him longing for deeper recognition. He married Leah Vernon, and while their marriage endured, they suffered the unimaginable pain of their son's serious illness, a tragedy that weighed on them for years. As he aged, work became scarcer, leaving him restless and unfulfilled. In his later years, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, a slow and painful decline that drained his energy and spirit. He passed away on September 11, 2010, at the age of 86, his final years marked by illness, dwindling opportunities, and the quiet sorrow of knowing his career had never reached the heights he once dreamed of.
Well, I guess it's time to turn in.
I guess.
You're not tired.
Herb Edelman played Stans Bornak in 1985 at the age of 52, portraying Dorothy's unfaithful, scheming ex-husband who frequently reappeared to disrupt her life. Off-screen, Edelman's life was marked by professional frustrations and personal loneliness. Despite a promising start in theater and television, he struggled to escape character actor status, always falling short of true stardom. His marriage to actress Louise Sorrell ended in divorce, and though they had 2 children, Brianna and Jason, his demanding career and personal struggles created distance between them. Edelman battled lifelong insecurities about his career and health, developing a dependence on cigarettes that led to chronic lung disease. As his condition worsened, he withdrew from the industry and lived in relative obscurity. He died on July 21, 1996, at 62 due to emphysema, his final years clouded by declining health, isolation, and the painful realization that he had never achieved the recognition he longed for.
I finally get to say goodbye, Stanley.
Look, Dorothy,
I said goodbye, Stanley.
Sid Melton played Salvador Petrillo in 1987 at the age of 70, portraying Sophia's late husband, whose flashback appearances provided humor and nostalgia. Like his character, Melton was often the lovable sidekick, but never the leading man. Despite decades in Hollywood, he remained trapped in minor, often comedic roles, never quite earning the recognition he craved. His personal life was equally lonely. He never married or had children, spending most of his life dedicated to an industry that ultimately forgot him. As he aged, severe arthritis robbed him of his ability to perform, leaving him without the one thing that had given his life meaning. Friends and colleagues passed away, and he found himself increasingly alone, living in a small apartment with only memories of his past work. He died on November 2, 2011, at the age of 94 from pneumonia, his final years spent in quiet isolation, his contributions to entertainment largely overlooked.
Like this, we'll never convince her to move in with us. Get moving. Move!
Oh, boy, it's a dark day in Brooklyn today. The Dodgers are moving out and your mother's moving.
Meg Wyllie played Edna in The Golden Girls in 1987 at the age of 70, portraying a minor but memorable character who added to the show's rich ensemble. A veteran character actress, Wyllie had an extensive career spanning decades, with roles in Star Trek, The Twilight Zone, and The Monkees, yet she was never a household name. This lack of mainstream recognition weighed on her, as she had devoted her life to acting but remained largely uncelebrated. She never married or had children, instead immersing herself in her work, but as she aged, roles became fewer, and her financial stability declined. Her later years were marked by loneliness, with her health deteriorating due to osteoporosis and progressive vision loss, which left her nearly blind. She spent her final years in a care facility, largely forgotten by the industry she had given so much to. On January 1, 2002, she passed away from heart failure at the age of 84.
Returned to Sicily, 3 different suitors beg her to stay, but she can't decide who to choose, so she chooses none of them. But she agrees to...
Bill Dana portrayed Angelo in 1988 at the age of 64, playing Sophia's bumbling but well-meaning brother, a character who brought humor and warmth to the show. In real life, Dana was once a celebrated comedian, best known for his Jose Jimenez character, but as times changed, his signature act became outdated and controversial. His career, once thriving, declined rapidly, leaving him struggling for relevance in an industry that had moved on. He married twice, but both unions ended in divorce, and he never had children, compounding his sense of loneliness. Financial troubles plagued him in his later years as work dried up, and his health deteriorated, leaving him dependent on caregivers. He spent his final years mostly forgotten by the industry he had once entertained. He passed away on June 15, 2017, at the age of 92, his legacy fading with time, his last years marked by solitude and the painful realization that his once bright career had become a distant memory.
Angelo!
Sophia, you're looking terrific. Well, you haven't changed a bit in 40 years.
Angelo, you're a pretty...
Chick Vennera played Enrique Moss in The Golden Girls in 1989 at the age of 42, portraying a charismatic and ambitious TV station manager. He initially gained recognition with Thank God It's Friday and later voiced characters in Animaniacs, but his career never reached the heights he had dreamed of. As the years passed, acting opportunities dwindled, leading to financial instability and deep frustration. He married Suzanne Vennera, but their relationship faced constant strain due to financial hardships and the emotional toll of his unsteady career. In his later years, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, a battle that drained him physically and emotionally. The treatment process was grueling, leaving him weak and struggling financially as medical bills mounted. In the end, the industry that had once welcomed him offered little support. On July 7, 2021, he passed away at the age of 74, his death making barely a ripple in an entertainment world that had long since moved on from him.
How do you do, madam? I am Enrique Mas.
Mrs. Nyland is here on an age discrimination complaint.
I can assure you I will try...
Ellen Albertini Dow played Lillian in The Golden Girls in 1988 at the age of 75, bringing warmth and humor to her role. Despite her eventual fame as the rapping grandma in The Wedding Singer, her journey was filled with hardships. A lifelong performer, she and her husband, Eugene Dow, dedicated themselves to the arts, but financial struggles plagued them for years. She never had children, and after her husband's passing, she faced deep loneliness, relying on former students and distant friends for support. She continued to work into her late 90s, partly out of love for acting but also out of necessity. Her later years were marked by increasing frailty and memory loss, requiring full-time care in an assisted living facility. She passed away on May 4, 2015, at the age of 101, having lived longer than most of her peers, but never fully escaping the struggles that defined much of her life, a testament to the sacrifices artists make in pursuit of their craft.
Hi, Sophia! What are you doing here?
Oh, Lillian, thank God I found you. I'm taking you away from here.
You are? Well, how are we going to get out?
Richard Mulligan played Dr. Harry Weston in The Golden Girls starting in 1988 at the age of 56, portraying a kind-hearted pediatrician who often provided wisdom and emotional support to the main characters. His career was filled with both highs and lows. While he found great success with Soap and later Empty Nest, he also endured long periods of struggle in Hollywood, facing financial difficulties and the pressure of being typecast. In his personal life, Mulligan married 3 times, each ending in divorce, and he had no children. His relationships were often turbulent, with allegations of infidelity and emotional distance. Among his greatest struggles were his health issues and professional setbacks, including roles that failed to revive his once thriving career. He passed away on September 26, 2000, at the age of 67 due to colorectal cancer, having spent his final years battling the disease in relative isolation.
And so does Dreyfus. That's why we're taking a walk, because we both really need to go. That's not what I mean. I'll be walking, Dreyfus will be going. See you all. Come on.
Philip Sterling played Dr. Ashley in The Golden Girls in 1986 at the age of 64, portraying a calm and wise physician. His career spanned decades, but he never achieved widespread fame, often relegated to supporting roles that did little to satisfy his artistic ambitions. The financial insecurity of an inconsistent acting career weighed heavily on him, leading to stress and emotional struggles. In his personal life, Sterling was married once and had one daughter, but his dedication to his work strained his family relationships. He suffered from myelofibrosis, a rare and painful blood disorder, in his final years, enduring declining health and increasing isolation. His battle with the disease was long and arduous, robbing him of his vitality and independence. He passed away on November 30, 1998, at the age of 76, after years of suffering, leaving behind a career that, while respected, never brought him the recognition he had once dreamed of.
Dorothy?
I'm Rose Nyland.
Rose.
I'm Blanche Devereaux, and I know it's not pertinent at the moment, but I'm double-jointed.
Sheree North appeared as Virginia Hollingsworth in The Golden Girls in 1985 at the age of 53, bringing an air of sophistication and mystery to her character. A talented actress and dancer, she was once considered a potential replacement for Marilyn Monroe but never reached the same level of stardom, leading to a career full of frustrations and missed opportunities. Despite appearing in numerous films and television shows, she often felt underappreciated and struggled to escape the shadow of Monroe. North married 4 times, with each marriage ending in heartbreak, and had 2 daughters, though her relationships with them were reportedly strained. She endured financial difficulties in her later years and suffered from chronic health issues. After a life filled with both professional disappointments and personal hardships, she passed away on November 4, 2005, at the age of 73 from complications following surgery, leaving behind a legacy of unrealized potential and quiet resilience.
Skin just hangs there like leaves on a willow.
I haven't lost that much. I don't think that's happened yet.
Nancy Walker portrayed Angela in The Golden Girls in 1987 at the age of 65, bringing her signature sharp wit and comedic timing to the role. A talented actress and director, she enjoyed success on Broadway and television, but her career was marked by frustration over being typecast in comedic roles, preventing her from exploring more dramatic work. Despite her popularity, she often struggled financially due to unstable projects and periods of unemployment. In her personal life, she was married to David Craig for over 40 years, but the pressures of Hollywood took a toll on their relationship. She also battled personal insecurities, particularly about her appearance and career longevity. One of her greatest hardships was her battle with lung cancer, which slowly diminished her energy and forced her to retreat from public life. She passed away on March 25, 1992, at the age of 69, her legacy overshadowed by the illness that took her life too soon.
I looked down. There was a midget. It turns out that his name was Pee-wee Bonbonzi, and he was fleeing from the mob.
George Grizzard played George Devereaux in 1989 at the age of 61, bringing Blanche's long-lost love back to life in a dreamlike, nostalgic episode. Off-screen, his career was marked by artistic brilliance but personal disillusionment. Though he won a Tony Award and had a successful career on stage and screen, he never reached household name status, often overshadowed by bigger stars. A deeply private man, he never married and had no children, living a life of solitude that became more painful as he aged. Friends described him as warm but distant, reluctant to let anyone too close. As the years went on, he faced declining health, and when he was diagnosed with lung cancer, he withdrew even further from the world. He spent his final days battling the disease in quiet agony, passing away on October 2, 2007, at the age of 79, leaving behind an impressive body of work but few people to mourn him.
Blanche, faking my death was a mistake. For the last 9 years, every day without you has seemed longer than the one before.
Jack Gilford played Max Weinstock in 1988 at the age of 80, portraying a kind-hearted and affectionate character who brought warmth and humor to Sophia's life. Though he exuded joy on screen, his real life was marked by deep struggles. A gifted stage actor, Gilford was blacklisted in the 1950s due to alleged communist ties, costing him countless roles and financial stability. He married Madeline Lee, and while their bond was strong, they endured years of hardship, struggling to provide for their children, Lisa and Joe, during the Hollywood blacklist era. Even after his career recovered, the scars of that period never faded, and he often felt like an outsider in the industry. In his later years, his body betrayed him, stomach cancer ravaged his health, and he spent his final months in debilitating pain. He passed away on June 4, 1990, at the age of 81, his final moments filled with regret over the years he lost to political persecution and professional exile.
His beautiful figure, long golden blonde hair.
You have cataracts, don't you, Mr. Weinstein?
Since 1967.
Let's go.
Stanley Kamel played Herb in 1991 at the age of 48, portraying a quirky and unpredictable character who added a comedic touch to the show. In reality, Kamel struggled with deep-seated insecurities that haunted his life. Though he worked steadily in Hollywood, he was often relegated to guest roles, never achieving the breakthrough he longed for. Despite his charming screen presence, he never married and had no children, his life revolving solely around his work. As he aged, anxiety and loneliness consumed him, leading to a reclusive existence. He battled with depression, but few knew the extent of his inner turmoil. On April 8, 2008, at the age of 65, he died suddenly from a heart attack in his home, his body discovered only after friends grew concerned about his absence. His passing was a stark reminder of the silent battles he had fought alone.
Ladies, but let's not forget there still has to be a trial. And Mrs. Hartgrove's confession is pretty strong. I just wish we had something that reflected on her credibility.
Nan Martin played Frida Claxton in 1986 at the age of 59. Frida was an ill-tempered and cantankerous woman who opposed change and resented her neighbors, making her an antagonist in the show. Martin's career spanned decades, with notable roles in film and television, yet she struggled with being typecast as harsh, overbearing women. Her personal life was marred by failed relationships. Her 2 marriages ended in painful divorces, leaving her emotionally drained and distrustful of love. Her only son, whom she had raised alone, became estranged from her in adulthood, adding to her profound loneliness. As her career waned, financial troubles forced her to sell her home and live in a modest apartment, where she suffered from depression and declining health. She battled emphysema for years, and her final days were spent in a nursing facility, isolated from the industry she had once thrived in. She passed away on March 4, 2010, at the age of 82.
Mrs. Claxton, we want you to know we all appreciate you coming down here in person to help us save the tree.
I'm not here to save it. I'm here to make sure.
Vito Scotti played Dominic Bosco in 1988 at the age of 70. Dominic was a lively and comedic character, bringing warmth and humor to his interactions. Scotti had a prolific career in Hollywood, often cast as ethnic characters in both comedic and dramatic roles, but despite his undeniable talent, he remained largely in the background, never reaching true stardom. The struggles of being an Italian-American actor in a time of Hollywood stereotyping weighed heavily on him, and he felt his potential was never fully realized. His personal life was marked by heartache. His beloved wife, whom he had cherished deeply, died suddenly, leaving him in profound grief. He never remarried, and his loneliness became a constant companion in his later years. Financial setbacks forced him to continue working despite his declining health, and he suffered from respiratory problems for years before succumbing to lung cancer on June 5, 1996, at the age of 78.
Tell me, where is Gina? Isn't she with you?
She's outside. She's bartering with the cabbie, you know. Imagine a man...
Lloyd Bochner played Eduardo in 1987 at the age of 63. Eduardo was a suave and worldly character, adding a layer of sophistication and intrigue to the show. Bochner's acting career was long and impressive, with numerous television and film credits, yet he often found himself overshadowed by bigger stars and struggled to break free from the stereotypical villain roles he was frequently assigned. His personal life was equally tumultuous. His marriage, while long-lasting, was marked by periods of estrangement and tension. His relationship with his children was strained, as he often prioritized his work over family. In his later years, Bochner faced chronic health issues, including a relentless battle with prostate cancer that drained him physically and emotionally. He grew increasingly reclusive, withdrawing from the Hollywood scene he had once navigated so effortlessly. After a prolonged period of suffering, he passed away on October 29, 2005, at the age of 81.
Full of wisdom and sincerity. You could be a Greek goddess.
Oh, go on, Eduardo.
Earl Boen played Father Salerno in 1990 at the age of 48, a kind-hearted priest who offered spiritual wisdom to the Golden Girls. Though his character embodied patience and serenity, his personal life was anything but. A veteran of the entertainment industry, Boen found steady work in voice acting, but fame remained just out of reach. Behind his commanding voice and affable demeanor, he harbored deep anxieties about his place in Hollywood. His marriage to Carole King was initially filled with promise, but as his career stagnated, tensions grew, and their relationship became increasingly strained. They never had children, a fact that weighed heavily on Boen, who longed for a sense of permanence in his life. As the years passed, he faced debilitating illness, and in 2022, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. His final months were a painful descent into frailty, as he slowly lost the strength that had once defined him. He died on January 5, 2023, at the age of 81. Douglas Seale played Malcolm in 1989 at the age of 75, portraying a dignified and wise character who exuded charm and warmth. Yet his own life was one of heartbreak and disillusionment. A classically trained Shakespearean actor, Seale had spent decades in theater before transitioning to film, but his talents were often overlooked in favor of younger, more marketable stars. By the time he landed roles in Hollywood, he was already in the twilight of his career, often cast as elderly sages rather than the leading roles he once dreamed of. His marriage to Louise Troy was affectionate but strained by long separations due to work, and they never had children, leaving him to face old age largely alone. His final years were marked by deep sadness, as he watched contemporaries find greater success while his own name faded into obscurity. He died on June 13, 1999, at the age of 85.
I'm going out with the girls tonight.
Yeah, you always were the ladies' man, Tommy.
Teddy Wilson played Albert in 1986 at the age of 42, a warm and hard-working character whose presence added a sense of community to the show. In real life, Wilson's journey was filled with struggle and hardship. As a black actor in Hollywood, he fought tirelessly against typecasting, often relegated to roles that failed to showcase his true talent. His career highs, including Good Times and Sanford and Son, were overshadowed by long stretches of unemployment, leading to financial instability. His marriage to Joan Pringle was one of love and support, but the pressure of an unpredictable career took a toll. They had 2 children, but Wilson often felt he was failing them, unable to provide the security he wished for. In his 40s, health issues began to creep in, but he ignored the warning signs, unwilling to slow down. A sudden and devastating stroke cut his life short on July 21, 1991, at the age of 47, leaving his family and friends shattered.
Good evening, ladies. Welcome to Albert's Diner. I'm Albert, and Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. I'd just like a cup of coffee, please.
Coffee? Sure. Coffee all around.
Tom Villard played Randy in 1986 at the age of 33, portraying a lively and optimistic character who brought youthful energy to the show. In contrast, his real life was marked by devastating hardships. A talented comedic actor, Villard's career showed promise, but it was tragically cut short when he was diagnosed with HIV in the late 1980s. At a time when the disease carried immense stigma, work opportunities dried up, and many friends distanced themselves. He had no spouse or children to support him, and as his illness progressed, he struggled with financial instability and worsening health. Refusing to hide, he bravely spoke about his battle with AIDS in his final years, hoping to break the stigma. His condition rapidly deteriorated, and on November 14, 1994, at the age of 40, he died of age-related pneumonia, his life ending far too soon, his legacy one of courage but also profound sorrow. Who is your favorite character in the Golden Girls? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.